everybody, and welcome back to O in the C, another Victory Monday. And you know we love it, and you know we gotta talk about it. But this isn't just any regular old Victory Monday. This is a pretty special Victory Monday. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely dominate the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, and the Buccaneers come away with a huge win. There are so many individual performances that we could highlight. There are too many for this video. And if you guys know the routine, we only like to talk about guys that are a little bit under the radar, maybe didn't notice. We don't like to talk about the super obvious stuff. But this game was so special, and there were so many ridiculous performances. I just want to take a moment and just kind of put a list of guys on the screen right now. All of these guys were major contributors in the win. Could not have won the game without them. They all flew around the field and made plays. They all flashed in the game. They all made plays. They were all crucial. All of them impact players, and all of them had performances worthy of a list like this. But those guys were just a little bit too clear and a little bit too obvious for this kind of a list on O in the C. So for this Victory Monday, we're going to get into a couple of key things not pertaining to those individuals that really helped the Buccaneers beat the Green Bay Packers. First person that we are going to talk about, and I got big time love for the guy because I was really excited to see him get an opportunity, and then like a lot of the Buccaneers that we've talked about on this list so far this year, he seized his opportunity. And we're going to talk about Raheem Nunez-Roches. Now, I like to call him Raheem Nunez-Roches. That's just me. I've heard it both ways. However you want to pronounce his name, it does not matter. For the sake of this discussion, he was going to have to step in for Vita Vea in a big way. Raheem was going to have to come in and fill big shoes, physically and metaphorically, for Vita Vea. And he did. I was a little concerned going into the game because the Green Bay Packers sort of have this quasi-dominant running game. It seems like it's hit and miss, but sometimes they'll just go off and Aaron Jones will look unstoppable. But it's not necessarily a run game like, you know, with Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry, where you're like super concerned or fearing like we've got to really lock in on this. It's the only thing we've got to stop. But they do have games where they go off, and I was a little concerned with the loss of Vita Vea. Normally the Buccaneers run defense, I wouldn't even think twice about it, no matter who the running back is. They're so stout, the front seven is immaculate. You really cannot move the ball at all. But with the injury to Vita Vea, I was a little concerned that will we miss him, and will they be able to expose us? How will Raheem do? Obviously, he's a guy who plays. If you watch the Buccaneers, you know he does play on a regular basis in every game, even when Vita Vea is healthy. But he plays in a substitutional role. This would be the first time that he was really going to be getting a bulk of the reps and be subbing out for someone else rather than subbing in for someone who's subbing out, if that makes sense. The Buccaneers' run defense came to play. There was a couple here and there scattered decent runs by the Green Bay Packers, but nothing to write home about and nothing that would generate any concern with me as a Bucs fan moving forward. While we're on the subject of the Bucs run defense and replacing Vita Vea, a very casual transition, if you don't mind, to the fact that right after the game, feeling good, you're in a great mood, your spirits are high as can be. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just defeated the Green Bay Packers, and the Buccaneers defense made Aaron Rodgers look like Jimmy Garoppolo. And you pick up your phone and you get a notification that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're not done. The day's not over. They trade for a defensive lineman from the New York Jets, Steve McLendon. Now, I was beyond shocked to see this. Obviously, you're never expecting a trade, I don't think, in that sense. And you're certainly not expecting one immediately after a game has just finished for both your team and then the player who's involved in the trade with his other team. So a very odd situation there. Thank you to the New York Jets, however. They're clearly in their rebuilding phase, and they're going to get rid of players and try to accumulate draft picks. So that's fine, more power to you. But thank you to the New York Jets, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have just acquired the New York Jets starting nose tackle. I can't put into perspective how amazing this deal is. It's going to fly under the radar because the win was so much more impressive. It just felt so great to see the win, the way the win happened. But acquiring a starting nose tackle who was a team captain for the New York Jets. So this is not just some random guy who's on the practice squad somewhere or is just down the depth chart and doesn't really play and they're just getting a body to fill in. No, this is a legitimate player. Steve McLendon is a veteran. He's been in this league, played for multiple teams. He's a team captain who just started this past Sunday. This past Sunday in Miami for the Jets, he played. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get him for not even a pick in this upcoming draft. Not even a 2021 pick. They get him for a 2022 6th round pick. In addition, they get back a 2023 7th round pick from the Jets. So that's kind of a whole bunch of hogwash to casual fans. If you're really into it, maybe that sticks with you and you're counting draft picks and you're focused on it. But to a lot of people, we just got Steve McLendon for relatively nothing, because a 2022 6th round pick is about as far from your mind right now as anything could be. Steve McLendon is accompanied by a 7th round pick in 2023. So you're giving up relatively nothing to get a player who no doubt will at least play in some games for the Bucs this year. Whether his impact will be greatly felt, that is yet to be seen. But this is a guy who's got familiarity with Todd Bowles and vice versa. And he's going to come into an already stacked defensive front. So that's really exciting. That was a very nice cherry on top of the whipped cream and the ice cream that we all enjoyed late Sunday afternoon. So we're going to move forward to the next small thing we want to talk about in a great win. Is maybe not an obvious one, but it is something that you would notice if it was bad. It would be obvious. And what I mean by that is penalties. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't even want to talk about the Chicago Bears game, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that game had a ton of penalties. Let's just put a bow on it and set that aside. Nothing more needs to be said. This game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for just the second time in their entire franchise's history, go an entire game without a penalty. Now, obviously, that's a level of excellence and commitment to it that you can't necessarily expect every game to be penalty-free. But if the Buccaneers can just keep the penalties low, just keep them down a little bit, that will make a tremendous difference in every game that they play going forward. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are very hard to beat. Most of the time when they get beat, it's because they're beating themselves. So a huge key going forward is to prevent that from happening. Don't beat yourself. Make the other team earn it. Make your opponent work for it. Make them actually beat you one-on-one, mano-a-mano. Is your talent better than our talent? Because we know it's not. It's an incredible difference maker. A holding penalty on a first down can kill an entire drive. You could drive 40 yards and get a holding penalty, set yourself back to a 1st and 20, and that could kill your entire drive easily. The next thing I want to get into is actually a really one that always, again, similar to penalties, something you don't really notice or talk about or maybe think about if you're the casual fan, but it is something you notice when it goes poorly, and that is coaching. And in particular, the coach that I really want to highlight here is Todd Bowles. We could talk about Bruce and we could talk about Byron Leftwich and on down the line whenever we want to, but this moment is for Todd Bowles, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, although they got down 10-0 early, they played that game about as perfect as any defense has ever played Aaron Rodgers. From start to finish, they were dominant, they were flying around, they looked invincible. It looked as if nobody on the Green Bay Packers could do anything. And I mean that in the most pure form possible. No one on the Green Bay Packers offense could get any sort of momentum going for themselves or the team. Robert Tonyan, I know he did get nicked a little bit with an ankle. He was a non-factor. Devontae Adams, you barely knew that he was on the field. The run game for the Packers, again, they had a couple of runs where they were, decent plays by them, but on a grand scale, it was irrelevant. It wasn't heard from. Aaron Rodgers, you couldn't find him. He couldn't make a play. He looked, and I really don't need to have any, I don't want to over exaggerate it, but Aaron Rodgers looked completely rattled in this game from start to finish. And I can't even believe it, because I myself, as a fan of just football and watching Aaron Rodgers for as long as I've watched him, there's so few times, if any, that really come to mind where Aaron Rodgers has looked rattled, or an Aaron Rodgers offense has put up just 10 points with 2 turnovers and 1 pick six. That is, in and of itself, that's a very, like, wow factor for the game. Like, let that sink in, what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense just did, and that's everybody on that defense. And where does that start from? It starts from the coordinator. You cannot look at that performance and just single out individuals, because there's too many. You could go right on down the line. Don't make me put that list back on the screen. You can go right on down the line and just pick out defensive players who dominated in this game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that, when you have an entire starting 11 dominating, that's a credit to the coach. Todd Bowles clearly got this defense ready to play, clearly got them prepared, obviously had a fantastic game plan. Facing the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers coming off a bye when they were as hot as white fire. And they come off this bye and run into a buzzsaw in Tampa Bay. The pass rush was fantastic. The implication of Lavonte David, the boy, my personal favorite player on the team, as a pass rusher, we don't see him rush all that often. That's not his forte on a normal game basis. But Lavonte David gets major pressure on Aaron Rodgers in this game, brings him down, he gets a sack and a half on the day. It just was a tremendous defensive game, and that gets credited to all the players, of course, but it also goes to Todd Bowles. Clearly got his team prepared. He outdueled Matt LaFleur in that sense. He was prepared for everything the Green Bay Packers threw at him, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made them work for everything. Even when they had a 10-0 lead early in the game, it did not feel like the game was far off. It felt like the Buccaneers were not only in it, but that the Buccaneers could easily, like, pull ahead. I may only be speaking for myself when I say this, because I did have a decent amount of confidence going into this game. My confidence, however, was more based in Tom Brady and doubting Tom Brady after a loss, Tom Brady coming off a loss. But in those first 2 drives, the way the Packers went about getting those 10 points, it didn't feel like they were imposing their will. It felt like the Bucs were just kind of feeling them out. And then you saw in that second quarter, the Bucs they attacked. And that was it. Like, they gave the Packers a little bit of breathing room and said, okay, what do you want to do? How are you going to play us? And then they just pulverized them from then on out. In this game, you could tell all game long that Aaron Rodgers was flustered. And I think a big part of that, of course, had to do with everything that was going on in the game. And it had to do with the whole entirety of the Buccaneers pass rush, because they were all coming. And the whole Buccaneers defense just kind of, big brother, little brother, Aaron Rodgers. Like, they just kind of said, get out of here, kid. Like, stop. Who are you kidding? And like I said, it's a credit to everybody who played on defense yesterday for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A win like that and just a performance like that, it does not happen without everybody. That's an all hands on deck type of performance. That's a pun intended. The Buccaneers were just better. They were just the better team. They were more physical. They were mentally engaged. They were prepared to play. They dominated that game. And that's a big time credit to Todd Bowles. We don't hype up coaches all that much. They don't get a lot of hype. They more just receive blame when things go wrong. But Todd Bowles deserves big time credit. That's 2 thumbs up from right here. That's 2 thumbs up from your boy WilOcho for Todd Bowles. Fantastic coaching against Aaron Rodgers. The whole Buccaneers team really deserves a round of applause. If anyone who's watching this wants to stand up and applaud for the team right now, I would advise it. I think it's a good idea. You should probably at least consider it. This defense, this offense, no turnovers, no penalties, barely any pressure on Tom Brady, run game moving all day long, defense suffocating. If the Buccaneers play like that, and I don't know that we can expect them to play like that every single game, but if they play like that, it is going to be a long season for everybody who hates Tom Brady. That was incredible. One of my favorite games ever. I can honestly say I will never forget this game. That was just from start to finish as great a game as I've ever seen the Bucs just play. On a whole, just from every position, every perspective, they looked fantastic. And wow, I'm excited for next week. So guys, we are here at the end of the video. Thank you for watching. It's been fun. I hope you had fun, because honestly I did. This has been the most fun I've had recording a video for this ever. Bucs Victory Monday. I can't wait for the next game against the Raiders in Vegas. That's gonna be awesome. Let's go Bucs. Can you believe it, guys? I'm just gonna hold this up. Look at that. Look at that. And look at that. And look at that. Look at this guy. See this guy ball out on Sunday? And look at this. Let's go Bucs.